guys, it's Kelly Latibola here, and I'm back with another video for W+9. Today we are going to be talking about no line coloring. So I was really interested in trying to do this with the Southern Florals 2. I loved the largest bloom in the set, and then also I'm using the hand lettered Thanks. It's an older set, but it's one I feel like you absolutely have to have. In addition to that, I'm going to be using some inks from W+9, Shell Pink, Hayride, and then their classic black. So I started off by stamping in the Shell Pink, the largest flower, and I'm going to stamp a couple of them and then I'm going to stop. So I knew that I wanted the design to go kind of like from the bottom left to the top right, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to have enough room for the leaves that I wanted to put in. I cut my masks out of 3M Post-it tape. I tried Eclipse, but because there is no coating on the Eclipse paper, the ink actually soaked right through, and I knew that my leaves would show up on my flowers. So the 3M does have a coating. I just kind of blot it with a paper towel to make sure that I don't smear it everywhere. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp the leaves in Hayride. That might seem a little strange at this point, but just bear with me. So from there, then I'm going to start filling in the other flowers, just making sure that I have room, like I said, for those leaves. I wanted it to be balanced. So at this point, you could do the same design and then stamp the layer stamps that come in the set on top of it and still have a beautiful card. That's not what I'm going to do because, you know, I love to color. So I picked a couple of Copic markers that matched that Shell Pink. And now I'm going to start coloring. So basically I'm using the tip of my marker, very light hand, and flicking motions going from the top and then also the bottom. So from the base of the flower, and you can see it kind of starts to create that center. On the right hand side there, the petals don't meet, but don't worry about it. We're going to get there. That's the wonderful thing about no line coloring, because there isn't a black line to follow. You can kind of adjust as you go. It is also kind of terrifying not having a black line to follow, at least it is for me, but because I pre-stamped them in the color, it was really easy to follow, and I could make that Shell Pink my highlight color. That's not necessary. If you don't have multiple colors of ink, you could totally stamp this in a very light ink and then still do the same thing. You would just want to make sure you filled in the whole thing to cover that. The Fairy Dust from W+9 is a really light gray. That's great for that. I've used that in the past for this same technique. So now I'm only doing a 3-color blend because, like I said, that Shell Pink is going to be my lightest color. My darkest is this R24. I didn't want a true red. I wanted more of a corally pink. And the R20 family is totally perfect for that and matches the Shell Pink really nice. Because W+9 inks are alcohol-based, they work really well with Copics, so I didn't have to worry about any smearing or weirdness or anything like that. They work great together. So now that I have the shading, I work from lightest out to the darkest out to the lightest, and all I did was those flicking motions. That's all that was required. It was, once you get that flick down, that's all you need. It creates that center for you, which is awesome because the layering stamp that is included in this set does basically the same thing. It's lines that you would stamp and would create that center. So here we've just done it a little bit differently and added some more dimension. When I was coloring my leaves here, there's 2 leaves and then 1 that are the same. I just needed to pick which one was going to be on top. So for me, the one that's going to be on the top is the one on the right-hand side, and the left is going to be underneath it. So I'm just going to make sure that when I'm doing my shading, and I'm shading my leaves the same way that I did my flowers, just those little flicking motions. I'm leaving, of that top leaf, I'm leaving the bottom edge lighter, and on the bottom leaf, I am leaving the top edge darker. So that's going to give the appearance that one is underneath the other. And this is just to make sure that they don't get muddy. The way that I stamped the leaves, it wasn't necessary in all of them because sometimes the area where they were joined didn't show. So just, again, from the lightest out to the darkest, and then from the darkest back out to the lightest. I did skip on the way back. I skipped the YG17 because I didn't feel like it was necessary. I just blended out with the YG03 and then the 01, and I was really happy with the way that they looked. just, you know, a little bit of dimension, a little bit more color. And then to pull the whole flower together, I'm going to take the center that's included in the set and I'm going to stamp that in black because, you know, I have to get it in somewhere. I love bold black with bright colors. So here I just wanted to show you the ones on the bottom left are colored with just the R22 and the ones on the top are just shaded with the R20. So you really can't stop at any point that you would like. I just prefer, you know, that depth and dimension. So I thought it would be fun to kind of split the card base. I know some of you are cringing right now, like, oh my gosh, you just colored all of that and then you're going to cut it. Don't worry, don't be scared for me. It's going to be fine in the end. So I cut off about about a ½ inch piece, and then I cut another ¼ inch, and I'm going to leave that part out. Before I start building my card, I want to make sure my sentiment gets stamped flat. So I'm going to stamp all of this in the W+9 black ink. I wanted to stagger the sentiment. So it says, you are such a blessing. So I'm stamping the are such and just using a baby wipe to wipe off the other letters. You can cover that with tape or post-it note. I was just being lazy. So once I clean that off, I'm going to stamp it off a few times to make sure that there is no ink on it. I don't want to ruin this card that I've spent so much time on. And then I'm going to stamp the blessing right underneath it so that it's staggered and it fits a little bit nicely on my card. Don't mind my head there. I was trying to see where I was stamping. So now I have some black paper from Simon Says Stamp and then also white fun foam. I cut this slightly smaller than my top panel. And then I'm going to adhere it closer to the bottom. The reason that this is because in order to make sure everything adheres straight, I'm going to adhere the bottom of the card first, which is what I'm like here. I'm like adding glue and I don't even need to be because I need to put the bottom on first so that there is enough room for everything as I go. So I'm, again, popping that up on some white fun foam. I'm going to adhere that to the bottom of the card. And then when I add the second piece, I can decide how far I want the little black line to be that it's popped up above. And this is, I just thought it would be, you know, a fun design and a way for me to tie in the black sentiment and the black centers of the flowers. So I'm just going to add that there once I'm happy that everything's even and the flowers look like they make sense, like they would be a continuation. Then I'm just going to flip it over and just cut off the extra with my scissors right off the top. And there wasn't very much to cut at all because that gap was not very big. So that's all done. I went ahead and mounted it to a white card base, and then I'm just going to add some clear sequins to just kind of fill in that area. Doing that with my Tombow Mono multi glue. To add a little bit more dimension, I used the Ebony Nouveau drops to add a little dot in each center of the flower. This is just because it is a simple card, more clean and simple. It's going to give it some more dimension. And then because all of the things need shimmer, I glittered every single one of those flowers. Every single one of them, because they all needed it. They all needed the shimmer. So that's it. That's the whole card. I hope that you guys will give this a go, and you know, it can be overwhelming, but it is really fun and it's a different look. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.